10 seconds.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from the Dead Box. It is 2 weeks after Cup. We are calming down. We have another special guest with us. Reese Stock is back again. Mike, What's up?
What's up with you? So it is now 8:00 the Monday before Thanksgiving.
What?
And look, and Reese is laughing, which is fucking great. Reese, what time did I let you into the podcast?
I jumped on about 7, so about an hour ago.
Okay. Hey, Wes, how long? You were here about 10 minutes ago?
I want to make this clear. I was in the podcast at 7:30. Okay, so
okay, I mean that's fine.
I'm running on Shane time.
Okay,
so,
listen.
I'm on Shane time, so it's fine. It's perfectly fine.
That's fine. I mean, you're not really late to anything else we do, so I can't really say anything.
Reese is just pounding drinks away. You guys are just talking.
This is true, and with a few drinks in my stomach now. One thing I've noticed is that now I'm coming on to a podcast titled "The View from the Dead Box." Wes, what is up with us taking second place at Cup? Talk about View from the fucking Dead Box, bro.
God, that is. I think I told this to my wife, and I said I think taking second place at such a big stage is worse than just getting fucking blown out. Like, I mean, everybody's like, congratulations, oh my God, like, you took second place, like, you know, Cup, like, that's such a big feat, like, not many guys ever even podium. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I think I'd rather just lose. I'd rather just, like.
You told me that, too, and I was like, at first, I don't think I got it, but after about a week of you telling me that, I actually think I get it, too. I think I would have rather just got fucking shit on.
Well, it's also one of those things where, like, let's say we got third place, right? Which still sucks, but you leave on a win, right? You're like, hey, man, we dumpstered out of the team. We took third. Hell yeah, good job, guys. But it's one thing, especially the position we were in, where we destroyed them the first point in the finals. The second point, I get a minor. Oh, and by the way, if you go back and look, someone shot me in the pod pack, one of our teammates. I won't say who, but I was shot.
Was it Wes? Please tell me it was Wes.
No, it's not me.
No, it was not Wes.
Damn it.
But like I got shot at the biggest bunker on the field where no one could shoot me cross field in the pod pack, right? And get a penalty that essentially cost us the game. And then the second game, there was kind of a weird ref call. And they actually say it if you watch the webcast.
Yeah, I heard Matty Marshall.
So essentially, my job that second or that third point was to be the lone gun, like to just kind of run my ass up. I was probably going to get shot. It was kind of expected, but it was more of a, hey, draw the guns towards you, get Alec in the snake, get those kills cross field and win this game. So I dig in. Of course, I get shot off the break. I went up the middle and then across into the snake, kind of the standard run. Well, the ref, I was looking back, it was a shot in the shoulder, and I'm asking the ref, like, hey, is this a hit? And the ref on the sideline goes, player out, right? You're hit. I'm like, cool. I kind of knew I was, but I was trying to obviously delay the time a little bit. I stand up to run out. Well, the way the ref had pointed, he pointed directly over Alec's head. And so Alec thought he was talking to him. So Alec stood up, right? Well, I started talking. I know I'm dead. But at this point, it's like, hey, this is a thrown game because the two snake side players are walking off the field. And I was like, no, Alec, get back in. It's me. Well, as I'm saying that, Alec gets shot like 3 times by one of the other dudes, and the players like, or the ref's like, hey, player out. And I was like, fuck, man, like it's the dumbest way to lose in the finals. It's dumb, like little bullshit mistakes that gets us. But then, of course, the other team I was with as well took second in 10-man. Which makes one of my buddies, Justin Bedford, who I pointed out in a picture earlier before the podcast started, he messaged me after, was like, hey, man, just FYI, you and I have played like 7 events together. And in those 7 events, we've taken second 5 times. I'm not playing with you anymore.
Bad luck.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's not me because obviously Rangel and them all went this past weekend and took second in the 7-man. So it's not us.
Oh, that is true. I didn't think about that.
It's a little bit of a stinger. So many second places. That's how I felt my entire paintball career until 2019. I had never won an event. I had so many top 3s. I was like, this fucking sucks. I would rather lose, I think. Like, I'd just rather get my shit kicked in because I know what I need to do. but I just couldn't close anything out. And I'm like, I don't know what else.
And I think it goes back to what you said about the double snake pull call and stuff like that, because I felt like we were in really good real estate that game, because I ended up making it into the 300 like pretty early. Alec was technically in the 50 snake like early.
Yeah.
Like that was probably going to be a bad point for them. Like we already had real estate quick.
Well, and I had said that into the pits. I won't bring it up too much, but that was something I brought up in the pits. Like, hey, are you sure you want to push this? This is the final point. Why not have me just go to the command center? For everyone listening, was the 30 big old brick in the middle there. And I was either looking snake or Doritos, depending on where the player was. And so again, the guy calling the calls, I was like, hey man, are you sure? Are you sure? Because we're going to the final point. Do we want to risk my body? We're already risking Alec to the 1. You want to risk me to the 50? And the call was made. And obviously as players, we do, the coaches have the bigger, the 30,000 foot view. We go on their judgment. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it technically did work because Alec made it in. The guns followed me up the middle. Just silly call on the ref, or miscommunication between Alec and I. Who knows? But yeah, cost us the game on the finals field, which always fucking sucks. But
sucks too. Yeah,
part of it.
God, that is I'm telling you that is so bad at that point. I was pissed.
That's what this is. That's what this podcast is. The view from the dead box is we take second at these events and then we come on here and bitch about it. That's exactly
it's content.
I'll take it.
It's content. But in the same breath, though, as far as the ups and downs go in that event, there were plenty of them. And I know what Wes, you and I were talking about it. The first 3 points, for example, you were shot off the break the first point. And we had no idea. Again, our team had not practiced at all before Cup. Yeah. In fact, you and I have never played together before.
I was going to say we've never played.
I have played with Rangel. I've played with Josh. I've played with a couple of the other guys. I have never played with you, right? So it's very specific that, hey, you and I are playing Dorito side, and we've never played together. But yeah, so you get killed off the break. We lose that game. I get shot off the break the next game. We lose that game. And then I got shot off the break the third game. And then I actually sit. So Rangel went in and we're just like, hey, we need to stop just sending fucking runners. You need to go to the safe run. Rangel needs to throw a lane, and that's what we're doing. And y'all won, and y'all started winning, right? You won the next 5. But I remember the call came into the pits, which I found interesting. Was like, you actually came up to me. You were like, hey man.
Yeah, I asked you.
Like, why are we sitting you? Like, why are we playing you? And I was like, no, fuck that, bro. Y'all are winning. Get the fuck back out there. Keep playing. And same thing I told him earlier. It was like, hey man, I don't care if I win a fucking medal on the pine. Like if I'm playing bench and we win a medal, we win. I don't care. This is working. Stick with it. Keep playing.
I wish every player could be like that.
It doesn't happen.
I don't get ego.
I will say out of a lot of the, and I don't know if it's the VM mentality, because I've had, but that's the best way of saying it without pissing people off.
Go ahead, piss people off. I don't give a fuck.
I've played with a lot of VM teams over the last 2 years, and the teams that I have played with, like randoms that I've never met before, those are the guys I've had the biggest issues with. And the one I've played with, the quote unquote known VM players that have been around for a while, like everybody knows who's good and who's better and who's not so good. And the guys who were like either aren't on it that day or not having a day or are there to play field players, they don't bitch, they don't cry, they don't complain, they're not getting spins. They're there for the fucking ride and the help, and they're there to do whatever it takes to win the game. Like that's what we say, whatever it takes.
And on that note, to put the numbers forward, we had 2 players on our roster that didn't play a point all event.
Yeah.
I didn't hear once from them like, yo, bro, why aren't I playing? Nope. Hey, man, come on, I should get some spins. No, I mean, they were in there wiping hits. Hey, man, let me get your gun. That's exactly the mentality I like.
It's so hard to find that first. It's just
it really is. But I quite like it as well, because there's days, and I'll be completely honest, that was a perfect example. I got shot off the break twice, and then obviously I was just left in the Doritos at one point and got fucking roasted by that one guy. But it's one of those things where I just didn't seem to be having a good day Saturday. I just wasn't having a good day. I couldn't make my bunker. I couldn't win a gunfight. My gun went down. It was like, hey, bro, you fucking suck today. Get on the bench, right? But then the next day, we were doing quite well. Hey, you go fill snake behind Alec. It actually worked out pretty well. Which I think might be a caveat to next year of like, if we are going to play the D3 5-man again, we should all get together and do a practice, whether it be Thursday or Wednesday or whatever beforehand.
Thursday for sure, or Wednesday, whatever that is. Yeah.
Well, because I feel like if we would have had one practice, I feel like that would have solidified all the bullshit we went through the first 3 games.
Absolutely. Yep. Y'all would have fucking killed it. More than y'all did. I mean,
but honestly, I liked losing, and this is weird to say this. I liked losing the first 3 games because I felt like our backs were against the wall, and like no shit, we had to win everything up. You couldn't lose anymore. Like you lost your first 3 games, and you can never ever lose in the event. Like you have to win everything there on out. And Dwayne walked up and told me, he's like, "Hey, like we need you here. Like we have to win every fucking point from here on out." And I'm thinking like I'm in X-ball mode. I'm like, we can throw some points, like try stuff out. Like no, like, you have to win these next 5 points, and then you go on Sunday and you have to win that match, and you have to win the next match, and then I'm like, oh. So when we got, we won out. We go to Sunday morning, and since we went 5-3. We go Sunday morning and
number 1,
like somewhat early. Yep. And I'm like, I get there, and then they're like, "Hey, listen, like we gotta go. Like we have to win this. Like 2 points, put them away. We go on to the next match. Like you cannot afford to lose any of these fucking games." I'm like, and then you're just such in an X-ball mode where you're thinking that you got a whole match, you can try stuff out, and it's not. I will say I do like the best 2 out of 3 in the 5-man, and I've always liked that about the Is it SPL who does that? Is that who that is, Mike?
Yes, SPL does that.
Their 5-man is best 2 out of 3.
MVPS's 5-man is like that too as well, right? Yeah.
It is. Okay, yeah. So I honestly wish it was like that in general. Like I think it should be that way at Cup.
Where you essentially play 4 teams and it's best 2 out of 3, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I think that would be so much better. Like I don't know.
I feel like in 2013, that's how it was. When me and you played, when you flew in from Texas and we played that year, I feel like that was best 2 out of 3 all year. Like, not all year, at least that event.
The only thing I can think
it's so long ago.
It fucks them up maybe is because they're on a strict schedule system.
Yeah.
So if they can say you're playing 8 games and then you're done, they know when you're going to be done. If they say a best 2 out of 3, you could potentially play 12 points and not 8. So you're going to get a whole uncomfortable back.
So one of the things, and this just comes from obviously for those of listening maybe, but I was the ultimate ref of the MVPS. So one of the big things that we run into with that specifically is that 3rd round gets, excuse my language, but fucking insane, right? So you'll have teams that just blow out other teams, right? So 2-0 them or get 0-2'd or whatever. And then that 3rd round turns into what was, 30 teams playing. Now there's only 10 teams playing. And
you might have back-to-backs.
Yeah. And it's going quick, right? So it's like, hey, remember you were like 4 games in between that game and this one? Oh, by the way, now you're after this game. And you might have just come off the field from another game, right? It's like it kind of cluster fucks a lot of teams. It was like, oh, man, I'm supposed to be on the field now, but I was after these 3 teams. Oh, well, those 3 teams 2-0'd the other team, so you should be here now. And so there's kind of a lot of running around. Yeah, and at a local league like the MVPS, it's quite easy for us. I won't say easy, but it's easier for us because we know all the teams. So you can just walk up like, hey, you guys are on the field in like 2 games, or you are on the field in 1 game. Yeah, it's a little bit easier. But for the NXL, they can just be like, hey, 8 straight games. If you suck, you suck. If you win, you win. Done. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's how the only reason I can see they don't do it is because of scheduling reasons in general.
Yeah. I think you're right.
But I've played both those series for a long time, and then we always happen to get paired up with Phil. Phil's a head ref for the SPL, and he does the MVPS. And we've known him for a little bit, but I don't want to say he's always given us time. But if we have a back-to-back, and he know we just came off like field 1 or something or whatever, or we just came off, he's like, hey, listen, I'm going to either put this game in front of you so you'll have a break, and we're just going to rotate this in, or get your paint, get your air, let me know when you're ready, and I'll give you 2 extra minutes to cool down, and you can come back on. Like, I think
it's also different in regards to the NXL. I don't want to say it's a monopoly in that regard, but there's no other major national league, right? Yeah. Where in the regional leagues, even as an ultimate ref, half of my job is customer service, right? Yeah. It's like, hey, you might have got effed over on a point, but I need to elaborate to you in a customer-friendly way because I want you to come back to our league, right? Yeah. It's not a BS tactic. We provide a service that they can go to another league for, another competitive league for. So it is half the battle there. It's like, hey, we got it. You guys have a back-to-back point, hey, head ref, give them 5, or the head refs obviously manage their own field, so they'll do what they can for y'all because they have to. We want players to come back, especially when you're running an event where you're playing all of your points for your entire division in one day.
One day.
Yeah. And when you start talking X ball, or as all of us have played, that's fucking ridiculous. Like I've played in the MVPS where I played a D5 5-man and D3 X ball, both divisions in one day, right? That fucking sucked, bro. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but I did it, right? And it's one of those things where you have to take into account, like, hey, we're running them back to back to back. You might have an X ball game and then to get to the other pits and run another X ball game. Yeah. So there's definitely leeway given in the regional leagues for sure.
Yeah. I don't know who, and speaking of refs that have actually good things with, I don't know the guy's name.
That sounds really fucked up.
Yeah.
Refs I actually like playing. I mean,
he's I don't want to say he's an older guy, but he usually wears sleeveless ref jersey, and he has it. What's the flex? I guess it's not a flex. The old GT.
You're talking about Kevin Guilford.
Hard bottoms.
He's the only guy at the MVPS that is allowed to wear that. But yeah.
Okay, that must be him.
Yeah.
It looks like an older guy, probably smokes like 8 packs a day. It looks like he does at least.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, this is what he looks like. He looks like, he's smoking through his mask maybe.
Okay.
But the event I played.
I need a Snickers, man. Where's the Snickers when I need one?
The event I played with my wife and we won. We were playing like on kind of the side, and this guy goes into the god, and I tell her, and she's like just laying into this dude, and I'm running down. I see the paint hit the guy in the back, so I turn around and I just shoot him. And as I'm hitting him, I'm like obviously asking for a paint check. It's just me and her, like on 2 and 3. So we get the 2 guys down as the last guy. It's me and her versus the last guy, and we shoot this dude, and I'm screaming for a paint check on this fucking guy, and I don't want to move. And I know it hit him, so I'm just waiting. Well, I'm like railing this dude, and I can see it like clipping his pack, like barely hitting him. Well, the ref is standing there, and he's like waiting for me to fucking stop shooting, and fucking finally runs in, and I know he got like melted. And he pulls a guy out, and I go up, and hang the, like hit the buzzer, and he walks up after the game. He's very quiet. He's like, "Hey man, listen, if you want me to check the guy," he's like, "you gotta stop shooting." And I'm like, "Well, what happens if I stop shooting?" And then he comes out and fucking shoots me. He's like, "I mean, I'll go in there if you're shooting." He's like, "But if you fuck me up a point," he's like, "I'm probably not going to be very reluctant to go back in there the second time and check the guy again." And I said, "I appreciate it, sir. Yeah, I guess that does make sense."
It's interesting in regards to referees. It's always been one of my biggest, I don't want to say pet peeves of, let's say, customers. Full disclosure, I don't work for the MVPS anymore. This was my last year because obviously I'm finishing college this semester and taking on a job. But it was,
good. So you can play D3 Exos next year.
Do what?
You can play the MVPS next year then.
I can.
That's what that means. Yeah, good.
But it's one thing when you talk about referees. I always have customers come up to me. It's probably half of the day that I spend talking to customers who are like, this ref made this bad call, or this ref is dog shit, or this ref blah 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 blah. And I'll hear complaints and hear what's happening. And some of them are valid. Some of them are like, yeah, that ref was dog shit. That probably shouldn't have happened. What was the head ref's call on the field? That's what stands because that's what it says in the NXL rule book. But that's kind of that. But I always ask other people who are like, there's people who've come to me as like, well, I'm going to go start my own league and I'm going to hire better refs and I'm going to do all this.
Enjoy, motherfucker.
No. My honest to God question is, bro, I'll be honest. If you have some like Lucky Charms pot of fucking refs laying around, I will pay them to come ref this event. Like, just let me know. The hardest part is just finding people willing to ref. Yeah. It's a thankless job, man. It really is. And you can be paying them NXL fucking wages, which obviously regional leagues can't afford. But you can be paying them NXL wages. You're still not going to get, a whole bunch of amazing referees. We've got a select few that normally are on our, at least for the MVPS, are on the webcast field. But unless you have just, like I said, this Lucky Charms pot at the end of the fucking rainbow somewhere, let me know or let leagues know, because we will hire them to come ref. Always. Even if they're a little bit more expensive than your average ref, we would do it. Because we want good refs out there, but there isn't this pot of refs. There's people that will call us and be like, hey, can you fly us in? It's like, no, man, we're a regional league where people pay like $300 in entry fee.
Yeah.
How the fuck I'm gonna fly you in? Like, where's this money coming from?
I will say I've reffed obviously a lot of events a long time ago. That's one thing I'll never, as a player now, playing as long as I have, I'll never ref an event ever again. Like it is just they have to deal with fucking crybaby fucking players, including myself. That I want every call. If I shoot a guy in the fucking barrel, I want you to run in there and fucking grab my goddamn gun and pull him off the field and then throw a penalty. Like that's what I want. But it's just not going to happen. It doesn't matter who's reffing. It's just not going to happen, right? And so, with that being said, I'll never ref event because I don't want to be the guy that everybody's like, man, this guy's fucking me. He's not running down there. Yeah, I don't want to be involved in it. I just want to be like sit back and go, yeah, he fucked you on that one, dude. That's a bad call. Yep. Yeah, he fucked you. Like,
I don't think I could ref. I get so distracted if I'm not playing or coaching. I just want to watch. I'd be like, oh fuck, I was supposed to check that, dude.
I'll be honest. Like I feel bad. Like the refs, just like your standard ref who's reffing the field, they've got it kind of easy in regards to the head ref. The head refs get yelled at and badgered and bullshitted all day. And I always made it an occupation of mine, if you will, where anytime a head ref was getting badgered or players were like, hey, blah, 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 fucking blah, blah, whatever head ref, I would walk up, right? I got the blue collared shirt, right? Mr. Fancy. I'll walk up and say, head ref, what's the call? That's the call. Cool. I'll walk over to the players and I'll deal with the players. Because, man, those head refs get fucking bullshit.
They don't have time. They don't have time to deal with it either.
No.
Like, sorry, it's your call. I got to get the next team on the field.
But it's funny because, like you said, every team wants it their way, right? That wasn't a penalty. Oh, that was a penalty. It was like, man, head ref makes the call. He gathers up the zebras, let the zebras make their little fucking escapade call. He tells the players go away. But you and I understand, like, we've been on the receiving end of a bullshit ref call, or at least what we perceive as a bullshit ref call.
It happens.
But it's just like anything else, man. Humans in tribal circumstances will argue for their tribe. That's just
Oh yeah.
There was a guy that at the end of the season or the middle of the season that made a post on that SPL page that said like worst reffing I've ever fucking seen. And he was just going off. And he said, I'll never bring my team to this event ever again. Da, da, da. And in my head, I'm like, man, this guy must have a fucking bad day. And he is just going on and on. Is that
the dude who overshot the ref?
Yes.
Yeah.
But now, to my understanding, that was Phil's crew.
I think it was. Dude.
Yeah. So I said, and I commented a fucking gigantic like page, and somebody called him out for shooting the player. So then they deleted the fucking post. So I made his fucking giant like post back to this guy and said, first of all, don't put yourself in a situation where the refs cost you the game, right? You can't get every right call. It's just not going to happen. Second of all, you say these refs are fucking terrible and you're never coming back. I'm like, these same refs ref almost every fucking league there are and the NXL. So it's not like there's some fucking random dude. And I don't know Phil from like anywhere other than just bumping into him on the paintball field. Like, you know, we're not like buddies on Facebook or nothing. I just see him on the paintball field for fucking events. That's it. And he's like, these guys are fucking terrible. I'm like, this same group of refs, I forget the bigger guy's name that always wears no shoes, but
Roderick.
Yes. He's at all the events with Phil.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these same dudes ref the fucking NXL. They ref the MVP.
I hire these guys, man. I know exactly who they are.
Yeah. I'm like, you know, you're not going to get away from these guys. If you think these guys are fucking terrible, just go ahead and hang up the cleats. You're fucking done because these dudes ref all the fucking events you're going to want to play again. Like, so it's not
funny as shit.
But that's what I was saying. When you have players that'll be like, well, I'm going to start my own league, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, props to you, man. Like, it's not easy. It's not fun. Believe it or not, the payout isn't even that phenomenal, right? Because there's so much that fucking goes into it. The cost of running an event is stupid.
See, I heard the NXL, PSP, what they were is if they hired a team to come and ref. This is PSP days. And one of our guys I play with, Johnny McCormick, he was a VM guy too. He says when they play with spray paint, I think they played D2X back then. He says that they the PSP hired Team Spray Paint to come and ref Chicago, I think it was. That was the event they weren't going to play. They played every single event that season and weren't going to play Chicago. They were going to drop that event. Well, PSP said, if you come and ref this event, the team reffing the event gets 100 points for your team for the event, and you get a free field. You don't pay you any money, but you get to choose whatever field you want, and you take that home back to your home field. So obviously that gets worked in with who's running the field. They would pay the refs, but yeah, you get to choose what field you want, and you take that back with you, because I think they sell those fields anyways. But you take the field back with you, and you get 100 points for your team for the event, for the series. So that's basically what those guys were doing back then. Now I think it's back to, I don't know, like $300 a day or whatever they pay those guys now in the NXL. It's been a long time since heard, but I'm overstanding in the fucking.
It's going to be somewhere between 150 and 250, depending on the quality of the ref or what their role is.
Yeah, I'm just not going to stand in sunlight fucking for 15 hours a day.
No, and I know I make one bad call, he's gonna fucking roast me every damn time, and I'd be like, I mean, not saying I've ever done that. I might have done that, but
it's honestly just like any other gig, man. You've got to find people that are willing to do it. And sometimes it's like, I'll be honest, we've had the idea of hiring teams. It's something I've tossed around with both the operations manager and the owner of the league, where it's like, hey man, what if we hire like a couple D1 teams to come in and ref? We'll split them up, because you never want the whole team on one field. That's just dumb. We'll split them up, but let's say we'll cover their entry fee for the next NXL or something like that. It's an idea, but then you start running into silly dumb shit where it's like, okay, three of them don't show up. What do you do? Right? Do you dock their entry fee? What do you do? Where for individual refs that we hire on individual contracts, it's so much easier. It's like, you don't show up, you don't get paid.
You get paid.
Or hey, you show up late, I start docking $10 an hour for however late you show up. Right? It's like, it's so much easier to work on an individual basis.
Yeah.
It just depends. It's here and there.
Interesting.
Well,
so go ahead, Wes.
Off of the ref things for a little bit, we talked about this a little bit on the last podcast. What do you think was up with some of the vendors that were at Cup? Like Dye, to me, Dye, right? In my eyes.
He is not happy about Dye at all.
No. Like, I think like
he could talk about this probably for 6 fucking months, I think.
I feel that for hell ever. Yeah.
I will drink until you're done ranting. Go ahead.
I think for however long, in my eyes, I think that Dye has been like a platinum sponsor. They're the biggest fucking event or biggest tent around. And now they have a goddamn 10x10 soccer mom tent at a fucking NXL event at Cup. What's up?
Perfect.
It was empty, so I couldn't really.
I got a screenshot of that too, so that'll be fucking great.
I'll be honest. I think it just comes down to a couple things. The COVID pandemic has been an issue for paintball. Different organizations and different leagues have been hit differently by it. Luckily in Florida, we haven't really been hit too hard.
NVPS is still popping.
The last 2 events, we actually had to cancel 2 events leading up to it because we, when it first kicked off, we had an event planned at Austin Tyndall, and the state came down essentially and was like, hey, this can't happen. Again, nothing we can do about it. And then they canceled another one before we eventually had the final 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, different leagues, different organizations die. I don't know how it hit them specifically or how it affected them. Or, just to be completely honest, what is their actual turnaround as far as cash flow from fucking Cup, man? Like, I know for Rangel specifically, he's not Die, understandably, right? But when he would put his vendor or whatever up at Cup, it was like 2 10x10 tents with a little bullshit back behind it. And he would pay extra for that little area for veterans to hang out at, right? He would even say like he lost money doing that every time he did it, right? So it's like for Die, maybe it's similar. It's like, hey, but we're gonna lose money doing this. Why even bother? Like, hey, we've got this 10x10 to tech your guns because that's what we want to do as a company. But other than that, we're not going to make anything off pod packs and jerseys and other shit if we have this huge fucking, circus tent.
Wes wanted more than 5 T-shirts.
I'm telling you, they brung. I asked Billy himself because we went there and they had one shirt that I wanted. I don't have any dye like shit. I think dye is pretty ass, to be honest with you. But they had like a dry fit tech shirt. It was like the old OG like gold dye shirt. And I'm like, that'd be kind of dope. Like that's one of the like 97, 98 back in the day. I'm like, I have to get that shirt. I go up there. They had 3 of them, like different sizes. I assume they have more in the back. LOL. They do not have more in the back. That is actually, Billy said they brung 5 of those shirts. So I guess they didn't think they were going to sell any of those shirts. They brung 5 of those fucking shirts. That's what they like. Do we have to send money for them to get boxes to pack more shirts into? I'm like,
dang.
I'm serious.
I'm glad we don't have a million people that listen to us because they'd be like, wow, he is a fucking prick.
They had one goddamn clothing rack from like Dick's Sporting Goods in there that had like 20 shirts on it. I'm like, and I say 20 shirts, I mean like 4 different shirts and 5 of each shirt. I'm like, this is fucking awful.
I mean, I don't want to say you're in the minority, but you might be in the minority in this regard. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't think I've ever bought anything clothing from a paintball event ever in my life.
Oh,
I had to get like a t-shirt. I buy a t-shirt.
You know what? I take that back. At the ICPL in Chicago, when did we play that? In October, I had to buy a beanie because it was cold as fuck. But that's the only time I bought a clothing item.
Yeah, obviously, we typically get our stuff through the dealers, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm at Cup and they have stuff, I'm gonna pay like $8 more for this t-shirt. But by the time I pay taxes and shipping and shit like that, I'm like, fuck it, I'm already here. I might as well just get the t-shirt. So.
The only thing that I do at Cup every year that I go there is I will take all my guns to the techs and pay for them to be 100% tech. Because it's like, It's that one time a year where I can just be like, cool, all my shit is good to go. Like, for sure, teched. Yeah, it took a couple bucks out of my pocket, but I know that, hey, it's been teched, it's been cleaned, they've looked through it, it's good to go. All the O-rings are changed, solid.
It's so funny about that tech thing. I had never taken a gun to be teched, and I've been to the Cup 10 or 11 years, except for this year. This year was the first year I ever took anything. I'm like,
and you got the hookup too.
I did get the hookup. So
you probably got a bigger hookup if you'd have given it to me. I could have let Yazzer just fucking take care of it.
I'm just saying.
Probably got fixed for free and back to me.
Fuck, $10 I was fine with for a board replacement and a screen and a shocker. Yeah. I was like, whoever was originally running the booth, I don't know what the fuck gun he thought I had in my hand. Because he said something like, worst case scenario, it'll be $15.50. And I'm thinking, I just handed you an XLS that is like 5 years old.
He might have thought it was a fucking amp for a second.
I guess that's what he thought, but I was still thinking those are $900. How are you going to charge me $1,500? But I didn't even argue with the dude. I was like, here, just take the gun, whatever. And I came back. He's like, hey, we placed 3 board on the screen. It's $10. And I was like, cool, I'm fine with that. But
I have to pitch in on this because I know we're a completely indiscriminate podcast here, which is
Absolutely.
what I like. I have to call out the Shocker family or whatever. Wes, do you remember the point with Rangel? Okay, so
oh yes, I remember this.
So for everyone listening, this was probably the most uneventful point you've ever heard of. We pretty much went to our primary 5, except for Wes, and the team on the other side all died. It wasn't even, no one made some crazy run through. I think Wes got to the 50 on the Dorito side, but again, the whole other team's dead. Nothing really happened. Well, Chris comes up to me afterwards, literally holding the trigger of his brand new shocker in his gun because the trigger had fallen out. Mind you, he's being followed by 3 refs who are all looking at him thinking he was tooling on the field because he had to hold his trigger in place and pull the trigger with the other hand like a fucking retard. And he's just laughing. And I'm like, bro, isn't that one of the new shockers?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it shot fantastic.
It shot fantastic. He just had to use his other hand to hold it in. But yeah, it was just, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Did you shoot one of the shockers at all?
I have shot Lux since they fucking came out, and I've never had that problem.
I'm the same way. I've shot Lux since the Luxes were new. And up until today, I just bought a different gun. Now I still have my Luxes, but I used the Twister Geo4 at Cup. I got to mess with a Geo4 a little bit when they first came out. One of the bums in our team had it. and I literally used it for like running drills and stuff. And I literally drilled it that day, and I think that's more than he has shot it since he's owned the gun. And yeah, I'm like, man, I like this is a good shooting gun. It feels like the CS2, but it shoots like the CSR. I'm like, I think it's a great platform. And I shot my buddies at Cup. I play with it, and I'm like, I don't mind getting one. So I actually just picked up 2, and I'm like, all right, we'll see when they come in. But I've only ever shot Luxes since the 1 all the way up. They get a new one, get it. Every time they come out with a new one, I get it. So
I've never quite been that loyal. I had a 1.0 or a 1.0 when they came out. I sold that when I joined the military, and then a little bit later on, I got an OLED when they came out. The first time I ever bought a gun that was like my gun per se. I always bought some extra bullshit from someone else. I had that OLED forever, and then I just bought the Veteran Militia 10, and that's what I've been using for a while.
Yeah.
But on the same note of Lux, I am looking forward to their mechanical trigger when it comes out, because I am tired of shooting other guns for these fucking mech events.
Yeah.
I want to shoot my Lux for a fucking mech event.
Well, so last year at Cup, we bought Forces, but they didn't let the Forces get released until fucking Saturday. Sorry, late Saturday. So I couldn't use it for X-Ball Thursday or Friday, and I wasn't playing. Yeah, they said we're releasing the Forces at lunchtime on Saturday. Whatever fucking reason that was. I guess that's because that's probably when the most people would be at Cup.
Yeah.
So we tried to go buy ours when the Cup they first came. The very first 20 they ever released, we bought them. And I said, I want to get it and I want to use it for the X-Ball event. And then obviously I want to go use it in Mounds. Well, I took it to Mounds and I turned it down to 5.5. And everybody's like, why are you not using your gun? I'm like, first of all, the gun's brand new to me. I haven't shot it. I couldn't play with it Thursday or Friday. I want to go fucking shoot it here, so I had a Revy on my gun, just fucking around, just trolling. And now I bought another free flow cocker. So I'm like, all right, we can go play mech with that. And then I still feel like I've always grown up shooting cockers. That's what I've always shot. And, obviously now Speedball, took that over. But now with the fucking mechs and the mech 170s and the CVOs, you're almost you're at a complete disadvantage.
Yes.
Shooting on at those.
And that was one of the reasons when the team I play with for the ICPL, the MVPS Dark Ops, that was one of the big things we talked about earlier on was, hey, we're not too serious about this because we all get drunk as fuck at these events, but everyone have a mechanical gun. If you take the safety out, that way you can shoot your trigger faster or whatever. So I actually bought a G-Tech, the M70R, the Predator edition, mainly because I knew as soon as Lux came out with their stupid fucking mechanical trigger, I was going to sell it. But that's one thing I'm looking forward to, especially since we're going pro this next year. I'm looking forward to getting a mechanical trigger for my Lux so I can actually shoot
because it's going to be the same shot, the same trajectory, same snap shooting. It should feel just the same way you're shooting and training with, except it'll just be mechanical.
Yes.
And you'll probably shoot that thing so fucking fast.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be
the adrenaline guys
unfair.
said that they're shooting like 17 right now a second.
Yes.
That is fucking wild.
Which is bananas.
Well, it is, especially when you start talking about depending on the field we're playing on for woods ball, I tend to play either front or corner. It just depends. If you're on the hyperball field, I tend to dig the corner. When we played Chicago, we played the infamous zipper field where there's the zipper up the middle of the field.
That's the goat field right there.
The goat field?
That's the goat field.
Well, 100% because myself and another guy were obviously the smallest 30-year-olds on the team. That's where we got thrown. The rest of us are like 30 years old, but they're all tall or fat or whatever else is the other, whatever hits us the wrong way growing up. So we got thrown down this fucking zipper. So I spent the whole event essentially in child pose. But yeah,
that's fucking funny.
I'll tell you what though, like playing that event, that field specifically ran really interesting just because of that zipper up the middle. And the sides of the zipper are actually tall enough to where it almost segregates the field. So there's like a Dorito and a snake side on their own. You can blind shoot over, but that's pretty much it. You can't really see over it too well.
I've always been to play that field. And you always see it everywhere on pitches. I never got a chance to play it, although I was always wanted to fucking play it. It's definitely
funny.
Yeah.
So we bring Reese on here. This is Reese's second time, correct?
Yep.
I think. I forget. I don't
know.
No,
it's second time, and again, the title of the podcast, plus being second time, this has to be a bad omen. Just saying.
I know. I was going to say.
As we're talking about this, again, me a couple drinks down right now, I'm looking at my APPA, and my last 3 events were all second places.
Second place felt so good.
That's funny. But I guess we have good conversation, Reese, because we never really, we don't really plan with anybody, but we always say we're going to talk about college paintball. We rarely touch college paintball. Tell us something. Me and you talked about it a little bit. So you said, was it last year was the first year y'all had played out of state, or was it the year before now? We were talking about this before Wes got on.
It would have technically been the 2018-2019 season, because obviously college runs different to the regular paintball season because college has its fall and spring classes. So it was technically the 18 to 19 year, and that was our first year actually going out of state. And we did it a couple times. We did the MICT up in Indiana on what I showed you was the nicest turf field I've ever played on. Like, holy shit, this was clean. It was green. When you slid, you actually slid and your gear didn't rip to shreds. Your skin didn't come off when it touched the turf. It was a nice turf field. And so we played on that. We ended up winning. It was a really good event. We had some sketchy moments in the event. As always, we had our now president, who's, if you ever meet him in person, Stephen Bosky, he is the most subtle, quiet. He'll never say a word to anybody in an aggressive manner, nothing. Dude gets a gross major in the prelims because he loses a one-on-one where he thinks he shoots the dude. The guy goes to run to hang the flag, and he turns around and goes, fuck no, I fucking shot that guy, and just starts shooting him. He's a dead player, shooting the shit out of this dude standing by the flag. And so, of course, all the refs start throwing reds in the air. Our guys, of course, in our tribe or our college, our team are all like, yeah, the boss get to do anything, blah, 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 blah. I immediately just walk over to the head ref station and know that there's going to be a case pleaded here. And it was interesting. Respect to the refs who were playing or reffing, they had no idea what the hell was going on. And I was essentially able to Jedi swindle a non-gross major penalty assessed. We had 5 players the next point. We had we were able to talk them into as a no point because they could not assess whether the player was hit or not before that. And because we were moving on, we were getting a bye out of the semis directly into the finals. They would not assess the major as a, we lose bodies the next point. So it was really weird because I know if I was a head ref,
I
was running the
event.
Gone. Yes.
He's gone.
That's
Taking your body down.
But yeah, so, Jedi mind trick a little bit. Some things happened there, but we were able to pull off the event, which was nice. Like I said, first out-of-state win for UCF ever. We never had to leave the state for the events because the national championships always happen here. So that was nice. And then the other event that the guys did out of state was the Mid-South event. I believe it was NC State ran that one up in South Carolina. I didn't get to play that one. I had a brand new baby boy. And so I essentially set it up for 2 of our teams to go up there, who of course took first and second, which was pretty fucking baller. But yeah, great event. It was a great turnout for our guys. Unfortunately, as always, COVID happened. We didn't have the NCPA national championships. I hope they happen this next year, but right now the colleges are, they're twisting nutsacks. Luckily, I have nothing to do with the college team anymore, so I can say it like, the college teams are getting shafted.
Yeah.
Like, there's events happening. The NXL is happening. The MVPSs are happening. All this stuff's happening, but college teams aren't allowed to have events because all the colleges are essentially pussies about
scared.
Yeah, they don't want to be liable for stuff, and it's a giant pain. Like not even events. Like I understand. Like, hey, yeah, we can't have events. Blah blah blah. They won't even let our guys have player rec days at a local field. Right?
That's crazy.
And it blows my mind, right? Because here's the big thing. Upon leaving the club, one of my big things was to get us into the highest tier so we can get this awesome funding that the club can take to the moon, whatever. they got allotted 10 grand for this next year, completely covered by the school, whatever we want to spend 10 grand on. And so I was telling the guys, like, bro, y'all are flying out for every event possible. Order a skid of practice paint. I want you boys sharp. Like, just do whatever you guys can to just be the best fucking team in the nation. And can't spend that shit. It's just on what? We can't even practice. Yeah. So
that sucks too, because they're gonna want to pull that funding.
Here, we'll use it.
Yeah, buy a skid and send it to us.
I mean, the money's got to be spent somewhere. If not, some other motherfucker's gonna get it.
And I'll be honest, it's interesting just because in the college side of the house as well. Obviously, I'm still a student. I graduate here in like 3 weeks or 2 weeks, but it's interesting on my side of the house as well because we still have to pay full price for college. Yeah. Even though we're not going to classes, we can't use half the amenities, or if you do, it has to be scheduled, right? So for me, who I like to go to the gym as often as possible, they only let 100 students in an hour, and you have to schedule it 24 hours prior, right? And so for me with 2 kids, where it's like, hey, my kid's taking a nap, I'm going to go hit the gym. Oh, wait, I didn't schedule it 24 fucking hours ago. Well, I'm still paying for that amenity that I'm never using, right? And so it's just interesting. Little public, college bullshit, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I like it.
Speaking of the second kid, I did not think you were gonna make Cup because
none of us did. He was due December 7th, but he was born in like October or something.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was close.
It was interesting.
He came out and
he was due November 7th. Excuse me. But yeah.
Yeah. What 2 weeks? 2 weeks prior to Cup, and I said, I think 2 weeks is fine. And Chris is like, nah. He's like, she is not gonna let him. Not 2 weeks. Like it's gonna have to be at least 3 weeks. And you're like 100% good to go. And I'm like, I think he said he's good to go. I think we're good.
That's funny.
It's interesting. And I'll be honest, I think that's been a big shift over the past year for me specifically, where paintball has been, honest to God, a key part of my life growing up. Like I spent stupid amounts of money on paintball growing up. Is probably half the reason I didn't do other stupid stuff growing up, right? Yep. It was a good outlet for me. It allowed for me to, obviously I didn't grow up in like a rich family or anything like that, but so it allowed for me to work hard for little things. Like I would go ref, or not even ref, I would go hit for teams for paint. So all the paint they didn't shoot at events, this is my practice paint. I'm gonna hike this back to the field, right? I did what I can for paint, and it was just awesome that growing up. And then now this being, I won't say the first time because of the deployments and stuff get in the way, but this being one of the first times where I'm stateside, and it's like, man, I really got to fight hard to, like, I this year, I mean, I'm looking at my thing right now. I played 1, 2, 3. I've played 4 events this year. I don't think I've played 4 events in a year, like not like that few events in a long time. Holy shit.
That's wild.
We're going to change your name in the chat to the one event wonder.
No. His name is One Event Wonder because he's actually a one event wonder. In fact, he played the one Philly event and I was there. I won't name him, but tell me how this man shot me as a Dorito front player. Okay, the struggle. If a front player gets to hang the flag, don't fucking shoot the front player. We want to hang. We rarely get to hang flags. Yes. I am at the box.
Damage.
I am at the box trying to hit the buzzer. He gets a major penalty, and the rest of us are pulled off the field. Bro, just let me hang the flag. Come on. Oh, hey, speaking of funny events at Cup, a great event or a great point that we had was, I believe, Wes, you were on the field. It was you, me, and Chris in a 3-on-3 at one point. And I guess I got shot in the hopper. I shoot a Spire. It shot like the top of my hopper. I couldn't see it. I didn't feel it, nothing. And all I heard was Chris say something like, Reese, get the fuck
yeah.
Out of the field. And I didn't even have time to react. I just kind of looked at him like, what do you mean get off the field? He shot the shit out of me, bro.
Yeah.
He shot me into the fucking ground. Like, my gun got blitzed. My hopper got blitzed. My mask got blitzed. He shot the fuck out of me. And I was like, oh, shit. And I walked off the field, and Curtis was off field. He was like, what shot you? And I was like, Chris. He's like, what do you mean Chris shot you? I was like, I mean, Chris fucking shot me. And of course, y'all win the point, thankfully. But Chris comes off. I was like, yeah, bro, you were shot in the fucking hopper. I was like, oh. Glad you saw it.
Yeah, thank God.
Oops.
I think that was Sunday. That was Sunday in the final, semifinals.
Yeah, that was the semifinals. Which props to them. Another Florida team. I know a lot of those guys. Frankie, one of my really good buddies.
The Deplorables.
Yeah, I literally went up to him before we played him and gave him a hug. I was like, "Hey man, if we lose to anybody, it's got to be you." And he's like, "You as well, brother." And that was that. It was just, it's always interesting. You see that dynamic in the paintball community, right? You play against your buddies. Like, hey, if I'm gonna lose to anybody, as long as it's you, bro.
And it seems like that happens a lot. At least, I mean, I'm sure it happens a lot to everybody, but I feel like even we go play NXL, like last year, 2019, we scrimmaged all the Bayside guys and someone else, and we paired up with both of them in prelims. And I'm like, and then this year we had 843 come down. Thankfully, we didn't pair up against them, but the whole time I hate playing against people, and then you're gonna get there
at a big event, and then you get paired up against them. It's like, how the fuck does this happen?
In Florida, we actually kind of have a joke about that, especially with World Cup, because it's in Florida. You're gonna have a lot of Florida teams, but the joke going into World Cup is you're gonna play Florida teams.
Yeah.
They don't let Florida teams not be in the same bracket. There's just too many of them. So
you're
going to play a Florida team. Even, for example, a lot of us play out at XPX, the private field. A lot of those guys got billeted in the same division, in the same brackets. They practice each other for like 4 weeks, and now they're going to play each other in the event.
That's great. That sucks. Did you have anything else, Wes? You missed a good hour-long conversation, and halfway through it, I told Reese, I said, I should have recorded this because it was really, we covered a lot of what we talked about, but we went into pretty good detail with some of it. And I was like, and we just have him come late, I mean, he's eating spaghetti with his wife. Don't want to take that from him.
Spaghetti means the spaghetti.
Well, question for y'all. What are your plans for MVPS next year?
We are having a team meeting the 12th of December.
Yep.
And we are going to find out. So after we got this field done now, we had a whole bunch of different teams come out and play at it with us. And then we're starting at a bunch of walk-ons that we've never seen before or heard of before ever. So where we are, we're kind of like, we're in Savannah. So we're like 2 hours from everybody. We're like an hour and a half from everybody. Hour and a half from Charleston, an hour and a half from Augusta, an hour and a half from Jacksonville. We're like an hour and a half from everybody. Yep. So we're like a perfect meeting ground for the teams up north and south and fucking west, all to meet and play. We're starting to get people coming in that we've never seen before. And we kind of put a feeler post out earlier in the week about expanding the quote unquote camp, right? We have enough to run like 3 small lines. And it's looking like, as of right now, that it's going to expand and become I don't want to say a program because we don't have the backing to be a program, but have a big fucking like every weekend thing, like 35, 40 people, just our guys, nobody else, is what it can easily be. And we're at the point right now where Truesdale will be here in the end of January-ish, February. So he'll be here. He's a D3. I'm D3. But that's my local guys, that's the only guys we have that are D3. So technically we can still stay in D4X if we wanted to. But I think the CPSL is looking to expand in D3X. It probably won't have a big turnout in that category. I think the MVPS is what we want to lean towards, doing a full season of MVPS again. Other than we didn't do it this time, we were set on track to do it this time, but the 2 events that got canceled, it shifted the dates, and then they happened to be this. We were looking for events to play. We're like, well, fuck, we already have our team money. We're ready. So we jumped in the CPSL, and it was easier to do those because they were almost the same distance. So we're like, fuck it. And then we started doing like decent. So we're like, well, fuck it. We'll just stay up there and just play the whole fucking season and let it go. I think we're going to, I don't know. We'll have to see how many D3 and D2 guys we pull down. And we're either going D3X, D4X, and D55 man. So we'll try to have like 3 lines. Because the MVPS does not have a D45 man. That's why I think they allow 2 D4 players on a D5 roster for the D55 man. I think there's kind of like the hybrid. Their D5 is kind of like D4 or D5-ish, 4-ish.
Like, it's more of just to keep the big thing about local team or local and regional events is we try to keep friends together. And it's always, and we know this, like it's a ball buster when you go up to like D2 and all your buddies are D4, right? It's like, bro, I want to play with you. Well, I want to play with you, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's like by doing this, you get like, hey, we'll bring 2 players down can play, or 1 from 2 divisions higher, right?
Yeah.
So like when I played D3 in the MVPS, we had 1 D1 player, right? And it was like, it was just like, hey, it's a good buddy of ours. He can come play with us. Hell yeah, let's play. And that was really nice because it keeps friends together. But then you have we had one event. I don't know if you know Travis Newsom. He plays
with the play with
the ML Kings.
Well, yeah, he used to play with Adrenaline Army for a long time right here in Macon.
Yep. But we had it happen one event where Travis had already started his pro career with the ML Kings, but he hadn't quite ranked up high enough to not be able to play with us. So he played a couple events with us, and the people were going nuts. Like, how can you have a pro player on the team? Blah, 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 playing D3, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, his points just weren't high enough yet.
Hey, sorry. It is what it is.
That's the way it works.
If I didn't play that and me and you've talked like on the side note about this, like I was ranked D2 a long time ago, and it took me a long fucking time to get my rank back down so I can play with all my friends like we talked about. Well, we played that MVPS probably the end of last season. Me, Rangel, Curtis, Dwayne, the main crew. We played that. Did not have a good event at all. But
was that the one I was supposed to play, but my first kid was born?
Yes.
Is that the one you also they catch you?
We only had 6 guys
on the thing.
Yes.
Okay.
We did not have a good showing, but the points for being D3X at MVPS is worth a lot of points.
Yes.
Fucked me big time. I had it mathematically figured out that at the end of that season, I would still coast and be D4 for the next season. Well, I ended up bumping into D3 by like 12 points. And I looked at Dwayne. I'm like, this is on you. I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like, this put me over by 12 points. And I'm like, and we didn't even have a good fucking showing. He's like, yeah, but did you have fun? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess we played fucking D3X ball with 6 people. I mean, sure, fun, no pill.
In the end of the Florida summer with no break whatsoever, and then got shit on. I think y'all won 1 game, but still like getting shit on.
It was bad, dude. I'm like,
I was telling Chris and Dwayne that, or they were like, yeah, we're gonna come down and play an MVPS together. I was like, guys, I don't think you understand. Like the Florida Division III is not. It's not your joke around league. Half of our guys are prior D2, D1 players. Like we're not. It's not a pushover league.
I've already said this, and our guys are talking about going and possibly playing D3X. And I said, listen, we have to have a roster for this. Like some of us, only a few of us have played at that level. I'm like, we need a stacked D3 roster with a D2 and a D1 guy. Oh, we need or a D1 guy. You need a fucking roster to compete in D3X in Florida. And we've always said this, even D5 5-man, which is hilarious, and the MVPS is fucking like very tough for D5 5-man. I've played tons of D5 leagues fucking around, like helping our little kids out and stuff like that. And I can literally like hip fire and fucking play with like one hand and shoot half the fucking team out. Like I have to somewhat fucking like sweat like in D5 5-man at MVPS. And it shouldn't be that way.
Well, it's primarily due to just the size of the event. So, I mean, I'm looking at the info right now. Our last event, this one we just had 87 teams.
That's wild.
And of the 5-man, there's 29 teams, right? Which is about half what the NXL had for World Cup, right? Yeah. I think the NXL had 60 or something like that. But our events hover around that. So, like our first event, we had 95 teams, and that's where the points come in. So the Division III, when you have 15, 16, 20 teams, the points are going to scale off of that.
Those points for NXL are for D3 5-man, which I am 100% against. I am 100%.
Oh yes, I love these. These are great.
No. Think about it. They charge. If I took second place in D3 X ball and second place in D3 5-man, they're the same points. There is no difference. If there's 40 teams in one and 40 teams in the other, they're worth the same amount of fucking points, which are completely bullshit because in X ball, I'm going to play a significantly amount of more points. And that's what these points are to do, are to rank you up because you have gotten, you're more seasoned. You are you have got more practice and more points and more progression throughout the season. D3 5-man, I didn't break a sweat playing all fucking day. Like I played a game, I waited 10 minutes. I played a game, I waited 15, 20 minutes, played it, you know what I mean? And then like I played 8, 10, 12, played 13 points and I'm playing for first place in the fucking web field. I played 13 fucking points and I'm playing for first place in the world. So I'm like, fuck, dude, it's 13 points is 2 matches sometimes in X ball.
Well, you get more points for X ball, but just the fact you do get a lot for D3 5-man. It's so like for example, I'm looking at just this is mine, so a bit anecdotal here, but our second place gave us 381 points. My next one down is a first place in D3 that I got 2 years ago, and that X ball division only had 9 teams, and it's only 40 points lower, right? 2 years ago, right? So it's like half the team, so the multiplier is lower.
Yeah.
X ball, so the multiplier is higher, and 2 years ago, so the multiplier is lower, and it's still roughly the same number, right? So
that's crazy. That's weird.
I'm telling you, the point system is so skewed because 2 events and D3 5-man, and I could literally bust into D2, like on accident.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like, whoa, why am I here? And then you're fucked.
And that's one thing that you're in the chat. We're always bullshitting about that. Like a whole bunch of us are like D3 and D2, and we're like, yo, this is dumb as fuck. Let's go back down. Like, hey, everyone let's all stop playing for like 4 years and then go play D4 together. They
don't understand the kids in my D5 chat, and I try to like rustle them to like explain to them. The kids are all excited about bumping D4. I'm like, you don't want to be D4. Enjoy, because most of them are beginner, and the last season was their very first event. Well, they're like, some have hit D5 or already breaking into D4. Like my wife played beginner and went to D4 in one season because her events, she took like second place, third place, a first place, and second place. And they were all big events. MVPS, like 2 of them. And I think SPL was a packed event, the first event. And then something else. So she had all decent events and all great showings. I'm like, well, there goes your points. And you don't get to enjoy the beginner and the D5 lifestyle. Well, you go right to D4 now.
And there's something to that as well that I found out, and this is actually through the UCF track, but a lot of our beginner players for UCF, we kind of fucked them last year. And I didn't think about this. It wasn't my prerogative at the time, but we always did a thing for UCF as a fun get together at Cup because all of us play for other teams. We would play 10-man together. And so all the UCF guys would come in and we would play 10-man. Bro, I didn't realize it was a D4 or whatever ranking. Yep. And so even though we got blown out in prelims because most of us weren't there, we were playing with other teams. Well, we got blown out in prelims. A lot of our guys who were beginners are suddenly D5. They can never play D6. They can never play beginner because they played that 10-man and probably didn't even play half the time, right? Because the way we would play is the best 10 walk on. But yeah, it was just like, you fucked them straight up. And I wasn't even thinking about it at the time.
Yep. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's bad. And that's how I've always had a problem with the ranking system for that, because I feel that I would love to play a like double event at every NXL. And I feel that if we played D3 5-man, we could literally skate by and win the series without even a fucking, like, not even trying. We could easily win. And it's crazy to say this out loud, but we could probably beat every team in there by fucking 50, 60 points easily playing D3 5-man at NXL for series points. Not even a fucking sweat. But at the end of the season, I am guaranteed to be D2. So guaranteed. So then I have to play D3, which is not a problem. But then I force my team to play fucking D3 so I can play with them. Or I guess I could play.
Or we tell you to go fuck off and we just leave you alone. I mean, that's the other option.
Yeah, and that's how it is. It's like, you know, it's unreal.
It is, and it's one of those hard things that, you know, you have to decide between here. So, like for example, the Florida chapter, very similar boat. The Florida chapter of Veteran Militia, very similar thing. I outrank the vast majority of them. Some of them are talking about playing D4X ball, and there's a couple D3 players that can play with them. But it's like you almost can't, because if half the guys that I go practice with and stuff like that, if they want to play with me, you're coming up, boys, and you're going to get shit on, right?
Yeah.
Respectfully, you're not quite at that level, or a lot of them aren't. right?
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to come up, you're going to get shit on. That's just the reality of it. But then we also play that other game that we were talking about before the podcast, where it's like, do you want to play with teams that are going to lose?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves, that I turn down so many teams that are like, hey, Reese, come play with us, come have some fun, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, because even if I'm having fun, I want to win.
Yes.
Right. And so so for example, at World Cup, I had a couple teams like, hey man, come play 10-man, or hey man, come play 5-man, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm going to play with the VM guys because, one, I know all of you, and we're going to do well because that's just what we do. And then the 10-man I jumped in on, we're the team that's getting ready to go pro in the ICPL. So of course we're going to do well. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm going to go, because I'm going to go to teams that I know will play well, will communicate well. In fact, I was thinking about it when I was playing 10-man. Our whole Dorito side had blown one part except for one guy. Right. And it felt so good to me to look over. I see the guy and hey, Luke. And he looks at me. I'm like, you're on an island. And he gives me a thumbs up. He stops gunfighting. He just starts shooting a lane. I look at the guy behind me like, hey, man, we lost the Dorito side. And he goes, okay. And he starts running to the Dorito side. It's like, I love teams that you don't have to say anything. You're just like, you're on an island. Check. You know what you need to do. Check. There wasn't some crazy, like, you need to do this and move here and shoot this guy. I was like, no. We understand what's going on.
Yes.
We all understand the sport. And I love teams like that. And it's like the same thing like playing with the VM. Like you said, none of us were yelling in the pits. We were down 3 games. In fact, I think the only time we got heated in the pits was when we found out that D1 player was playing on that other team.
The pro player. Or I think he was ranked D1, but he was playing with the pro line. That's what it was.
Which I'll be honest, I took that on my own head because y'all were out there playing points and stuff like that. So I was running to Z and running to like, hey man, what the fuck's up with this guy? He's taking his jersey off. And then the guy walks up to him like, oh no, I didn't play.
I never played, covered in sweat and shit. I never played.
Yeah, I didn't play at all. Blah, 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 blah. And I remember I was standing there watching him say that. It's like, oh, like
a headband on. You could just tell he pulled his jersey off and his elbow pads are covered in sweat and paint. He's like, no, man, I haven't played at all. And we're like, bruh, come on now.
It's fucking wild.
Like, I know the guy didn't get caught, but I think Chris said it best to him, where the guy had said something to Chris like, oh, come on, man. I just jumped. It was only 1 point. I jumped in there for 1 point. And Chris was like, nah, fuck that, man. Because if we were to hear stacking teams, he's like, bro, I'll stack a fucking team. You want a whole bunch of D1 players? I'll stack a fucking D1 line on this D3 team. Fuck it. But we can't. And there's a reason we can't, right? And then plus, obviously, the guy wasn't even on the roster. It was a whole
Chris, come on now, dude. Chris is like, hey, man, it's business. He's like, I'm sorry. It's just nothing personal. It's business.
Well, and, obviously I won't name names on our roster, but he was good buddies with a couple of guys on our roster, and they're like, man, I don't want to say anything. He's a good buddy of mine. It's like, cool. You don't have to. I don't know the guy. Plus, I don't give a fuck. Let's go, right? Like, I'll take care of it. But, yeah, I kind of wish, because it was me who actually told Chris not to say anything when the guy was on the field.
Yeah.
I told Chris, like, wait till we're playing, man, because by the rule book, technically, we would have to we would actually have to, or they would have to forfeit all the points prior, because the refs cannot tell which points he was on the field for. It's like, bro, wait till our game, because then they have to forfeit all of them, right? But then the guy walked up the field and was like, I'm not going to play against y'all. I respect y'all too much, or something like that. I was like, fuck, I'm the one that told y'all not to fucking tell the refs. Fuck. Yeah, that was rough.
That's crazy. I didn't know that happened. That's wild.
I forgot to tell you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
He was the guy. I'm pretty sure he was playing pro with them. Yeah.
Huh. But it was interesting because obviously the 2 head refs, or the 2 ultimate, Z and the other gentleman, all respected them. And the guy lied straight to their face. I was standing right there when the guy was like, it wasn't me. And I guess the other ultimate ref knew some players on the team. I was like, hey, man, like, this is bullshit. I trust you guys, and now you're doing this on my field. Like, that's fucking bullshit. And the players are like, we didn't do anything. And then as the dude walked away, the guys walk over to their kind of little fan base behind the pits there, was like, hey, they didn't see him. We're good. It's all fucking Gucci, blah, blah, blah. And I walked straight up to the dude like, do you see what they're saying right now? Because you didn't see him, they're Gucci. Are you fucking serious? I was losing my mind, right? But again, I wasn't playing on the field. I have no problem letting y'all focus on, hey, we got to do what's on the field. I'm going to go play fucking politics. That's what I do.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. I had no idea.
Bro, I was legitimately behind the pits on my phone reading the rule book. That way I could walk straight up to the ultimates like, hey, man, we're playing fuck games, right? We're playing fuck games, right?
That's crazy. Were they as strict on – okay, so Wes, with us, like obviously barrel condoms, you got to have it on and off the field. Were they calling those everywhere, or was that just the refs we had?
No, the Saturday they were chill. Sunday, what's the head ref? We played Sunday. All of our guys know him. Big guy, had a bald head.
Oh, Pizzo?
I can't.
Charlie, skinny Brent Pizzo, yeah.
Brent, okay, yeah. They knew him, and they said, hey, this guy's great. He is very by the book, though. Yes. Don't fuck with him. And they gave us like a quick cap meeting 5 minutes in, and the guy said, hey, listen, we're watching for the barrel condoms. Make sure they're on when you come through the field, off only when you're on the field. And so he said, we didn't have everything. Nobody got pulled for that, but they did make sure they said that. I will say that very Thursday and Friday were bullshit. We never got pulled for it. But
he gave me a warning. When I was coaching, I got 2 warnings for y'all. One time he said, the first one, he was like, hey, it's a warning. Player pulled off. I was like, okay, cool. So I told y'all. Again, he goes, I think I gave you a warning already. He goes, but I can't fucking remember. He goes, so I should give you a penalty. He goes, but I'm pretty sure I haven't yet. And I was like, no, you haven't given us a warning yet at all. And he gave us another warning. I was like, guys, keep your fucking barrel condoms on. Like, leave them on and off. Like, you know how to fucking do this. We do this at the field all the time.
Yeah, that's one of those no BS calls. Like, hey, you might give a warning for that, but at events, I'm really strict about that shit. Obviously, like, dudes getting their eyes blown out and dumb shit, right? So it's like, if I see a dude walking around with no barrel condom, I'm going to tell you the first time. The second time, I'm going to look at the head ref and be like, hey, penalty.
Yep.
Go.
No, I mean, I agree. They got 2 of the other teams in our pits, they got them, and it was starting to body down. And it was like it was the first point of the day. The dude's walking on, and the ref walks by. He was like, nope, you can't come on the field. They're starting to play her down. And I'm looking and going, what the fuck? So I turned to look at all them and I'm like, y'all all saw that's like they're getting a penalty right next to us. So I was like, if y'all do that dumb shit, that will annoy me. I would rather you play on than do that.
And I'll be honest, sometimes that is almost a necessity, especially for baseline stuff like that. And that's one of the things I quite enjoy in regards to keeping a safe event at the MVPS is I have no problem saying like, hey, do this. And if I can tell the players are just kind of like, oh, whatever, they're being mouthy and stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. Hey, this team starts down 1.
Yep.
I was trying to give you a warning, but if I need to assess the penalty, I'll assess the penalty, right?
No, I agree. Yeah, we get kind of bad about it at our field when it's our crew out there.
Yeah, when we're just hanging out with like our main guys and like a couple other ones, we're chronoing like on the back of our trucks.
I hate going to your kind of field. I hate going to your.
I mean, I do too, but I trust my people. But if it was someone I didn't know, I'd be like, that dude, he can't fucking chrono over there.
The worst field, honest to God, is CFP. Like, they'll be like, you're playing a game, blah, blah, blah. The point's over. They're like, all right, game. And everyone's like, yeah, cool. And everyone on the field just mask up, starts walking around. Hey, what'd you see? What were you seeing? Blah, blah, blah. I was like,
yeah.
We're not as bad about that. We're normally pretty good. We'll put the barrel condoms on.
I am kind of bad every now and then. But usually when it's only our guys, like nobody else, like no randoms, we'll get done with the point. I put my gun down and the mask comes off. But usually guns are down. But if we're up in the pits, I say pits. If we're like in the staging area, which is an open field, like with trees over us, I'm like, I have my own fucking chrono. I'm just like turning the gun, I'm like,
shoot right the fucking railroad track.
Yeah, like the train's coming. I shoot the train while I'm fucking chronoing.
The only time that I'm actually like that, so for the Florida VM guys, I'll run a practice or so with them every couple months or so. And we'll normally do it up at Xplex. And not a whole lot of speedballers go out there on Sunday. They normally play on Saturday, their home team. And so when we're out there, it's normally just us. And so I would do something similar, except I would be like, all right, everyone rally up, middle of the field, guns on the ground or something like that. Or, hey, everyone's guns good, cool. Now we take masks off. Because you do want to, in a practice, mask off and talk through the points. Holy shit. I can't tell you how good that is for anyone listening who's a brand new player. After every point, take 5 or 10 minutes, like, hey, what happened? What'd you see? What sucked? Why'd you suck? And just talk through it real quick. It's so simple how much extra you can learn from, hey, Wes, you got shot off the break that first point. Where was it from? Oh, there? Okay, cool. I'll watch that or I'll shoot up the gut for that next point, right? It's such a simple thing to do, and it takes like 20 or 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Imagine if we had to talk to Carson and Frank after they got shit on every single point. every day. Jeez.
I was wondering.
We lose like 3 hours of practice. Just fucking. Oh, Carson, how'd you get shit on again? Carson, hey, how'd you? Oh yeah, okay. Carson, how'd you get shit on this time? Cool. Hey, Carson, how'd you get shit on this time, dude? Fucking.
When you did that last time, one of them texted me.
Text me. It's Carson.
I think it was Carson. Yeah. He was like, "Wait a minute," and then they told Joey, and Joey was like, "Where's it? I gotta find where they talk shit about me in the podcast."
Fuck you, Joey, bitch.
Do you guys plan on just random question? But do you guys plan on playing the ICPLs next year at all? Like the one in Florida?
We should.
If y'all have a 50-man freaking unit.
Yeah, we would definitely like to get into some of them. They have one going in Carolina that sold out in like a fucking day. I'm like, God damn it. It looked good. I'm like, sweet. I clicked on it. I'm like, all right, we're cool. I was getting a roster together. Literally the next day, I'm like, hey, it's in like 6 months. We're good. Boom, sold out. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. The mechanical events are getting fun, man. I highly advise y'all to play one. Anyone listening, we've played 3 this year. So we won the first ICPL for MVPS Dark Ops, and then we took second in Chicago, and that won us the pro spot for next year. So we'll be playing all the ones next year as well.
That's awesome.
And then we also won the TM40 charity event. But it's just cool because when you play the events, but it's cool because when you play the events, it all goes back to the point scale system, right? So in the finals, we were technically losing, except we won by points, right? It's just the reality on the ground.
It was like 5-man points, kind of like how they used to do those.
Like eliminations and survivals.
Elimination, survivals, flag pull, flag hang.
Okay.
But there's some really cool things that happen in there as well. So if you watch on the live stream, if you watch the ICPL Sunshine Open, the one that happened here in Florida, you can literally see in the finals. Now, mind you, 10-man is the most boring thing to watch because it's everyone just sitting in a bunker shooting a mechanical gun. No one's making big moves. It's not like that. But when you hear us call kill 6, by points, we won the tournament. No matter what happened, we won the tournament as soon as we got kill 6. And you see everyone on our side of the field just stand up and start looking around like, where's the last 4? What's happening? Well, it didn't matter. We could all run to our deaths and we won the event. So kill 6 was just like, that was the call. Kill 6, everyone's fucking like, yeah, cool. Fuck yeah, we won. It doesn't matter. We're in the middle of the game. We could all die. Just fucking, it didn't matter. Kill 6 because it's all on points.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so y'all should definitely come down and play one, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to. Like I said, we were going to try to do that one in Carolina, but it did sell out. I was watching it too, and I'm like,
I think it was at PBC or something like that.
I think so too, yeah.
Oh, that'd have been nice.
You said something earlier about the CPSL, and I have to take something back. I don't know if I actually ever said it on the podcast, but I know I said it to Wes multiple times. I always said I wanted to see how well Tantrum would do in Florida, and they did pretty solid at Cup. So I have to apologize. They didn't win, obviously, but their D4 X-Ball team did way better than us, and I believe they beat out 843 as well, but I could be mistaken on that part. So I always said I wanted to see.
I didn't see how. I didn't track them.
I believe they did better than us, but because they were obviously the hotshot team that was playing in that. We were the only other team that took a first place that whole series. Everything else was Tantrum. But I believe they made Sunday. I should have looked it up before.
They had great. I mean, they had great showings.
It's a great team, but that's something I needed to say while I was fucking thinking.
They had great showings at every event.
Yeah, I mean, they, like I said, won. They won the whole series, obviously, and then they took third in the series too, beat us out by a few points for third place.
Which they technically didn't. If you guys listen, you guys didn't beat us. Bums. We got robbed. We got robbed of a point. We got robbed of a margin. We 5-0'd that. Was it team?
I don't know.
NRG. We 5-0'd NRG, and that was. Oh yeah, we got a ref right here. Reese, I'm not sure if you heard that podcast. We were not having a great event at all. We totally blew third place series all on us, right? We had a fucking horrible showing, but all we had to do was go 5-0 against the best team that was there. And guess what? We were going to fucking do it. Or sorry, 4-0. We had a 4-0 split, right? It's a Mercy 4. So we had a 3-1, then a 4-1, and there was 30-ish seconds left, 40 seconds like that. We had to run one more point. Well, the guys run down, bang, 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 back and forth. And then it's like a 1-on-2, and there's like 15 seconds on the clock. We have 2 guys, Chris Cox and Frank. and Chris runs and bunkers this guy. Boom, 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 shoots him. The guy spins all the way around, shoots at Chris. Well, Chris spins back around. It's like 10 seconds on the clock now. They're at the 50-yard line. And Chris, he looks at the ref and goes, hey, he just shot at me. That's a penalty. Asking for a flag because the guy did spin all the way around and shot. And now Chris doesn't know if he shot him because he could have shot him in the pack or the foot. Who knows? But Chris runs to go hang the flag because there's like 5 seconds at this point. He gets to the, I say 5, probably 10 seconds. He gets to the base like 3 steps off the flag buzzer. And the ref goes, player, turn around, come here. So he walks Chris back to him and goes, did he shoot you? And he goes, I don't know. So the ref spins him around, checks him, and goes, no, you're good. Go ahead. So the ref sends Chris to go hang the flag. Well, as Chris is jogging to go hang the flag, time runs out. We don't get the point. Well, I look at the ref and go, hey, you stopped my player from hanging the flag. And the one ref goes, yeah, you're good. We threw the penalty. We thought your play, because they threw a penalty. They thought Chris was dead when that guy spun around. And then Chris said, hey, that guy just shot at me. So they gave Chris a penalty for talking when dead. But that's what the ref stopped the player, stopped Chris, spun Chris around. Chris had no hits. No penalty is to be assessed. They let Chris play and let him go back to the flag to go hang it. Time ran out. I'm like, whoa, dude, my guy was on the box hitting the buzzer and you brung him back. You literally made him walk back to the 50. And I'm like, that should be our point. Like, that's our point. You should let him buzz. And if he's hit, fucking boom, dirty hang, right?
In that case, from my understanding of the rules, yes, it should have been the ref say nothing, or if he sees a hit, call the hit. Yes. Or again, if he sees nothing, walk up to the player. If the player hits the buzzer before the time ends, let him hit the buzzer. And if it's a dirty hang, it's a dirty hang.
Yeah. Boom, penalty.
Then you assess the penalty. Or again, have the zebra convention and they convey that this dude spun and whatever happens. But again, you're saying that he spun. In that case, again, 15 seconds on the clock. Was this X ball?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, then 15 seconds on the clock is under a minute. That should have been a major, which is an immediate swing point in under a minute.
Yes.
Again, I don't know what rule book you're going off of specifically, but yeah, I mean, there's so many things that could have been what ifs, which is also the fun of being an ultimate ref, having to deal with players' what ifs. But yeah, I mean, it could have gone your way.
All we needed was one fucking point for a separation that put us in from like 10th or 9th place, something like 7th place, because that's what they were all separated by like a third of a point, a half a point, whatever the fuck it was. We just needed one more separation to put us over into like the bump up, and then we would win 3rd place by like 20 points. But we waited, and it was so close. We ended up losing the series points by like 1.8 points is what we lost.
It was not much at all.
We lost by 1.8 points.
Now, granted, what did we do in April? That could have changed it also.
April, again, not our fault.
No. Your fault.
We played this event in April because the MVPS got pushed. So we said, well, fuck it, we'll go play this event. We took some buddies up there. We were having a good time. Well, we were doing well. And
but we didn't think we were doing well enough to move on.
Yeah, so they come and go, hey, you're moving on. Mind you, this is 7:30.
Prelims are ending.
They're not ending. There's like 2 more matches.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
He's like, hey, you guys are moving on, and we're beating the fucking brakes off this team. We're like fucking 3-0, just like, and it's bad. We're like running them. And I'm like, I look at the guys, I'm like, it's like 8 o'clock, and the prelims are not even done yet. I'm like, you guys just want to kind of call it quits and just forfeit our spot and give it to somebody else? And me and Jamie are like, yeah, fuck this. We're not going to play. We got to play the quarters and the semis. And we're like, fuck it. So I put the other guys in, and I let Cordy get she's playing with us, D4X. I let her get a lot of points in, and I'm letting them just steamroll this fucking team. Just literally just dick whop them down the whole fucking field. And right before they hang the flag, I fucking towel. And they're like, everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? And they're like, GA Extreme towels the point, like 4 alive. And I'm like, okay. So they play him again, and they just run their fucking dicks in the dirt, just smash him. As Frank goes to hit the flag, buzz it again. And Frank's like, what the fuck is going on? So we went from like a 4-0.
Well, the worst part was then the other team won one, and I was like, fuck, they're gonna lose now.
Yeah, I'm like, and then it's like a 1 point separation. I'm like, oh yikes! But at this point, it doesn't matter. So we ended up getting up by 2, and I walk up to the team after the event, and I said, hey, listen, we weren't trying to be any dicks. We just wanted to play as much paintball as we could because we're not going. We are forfeiting our spot into the quarters and the semis, and we're going home. And I'm glad we did because the fucking finals did not finish until midnight. Midnight, and we're 5 hours away from the fucking house on a goddamn Sunday. I got to be at work at 5 hours after finals. We literally drove home, got home at like 2-ish, 3. I went to bed for like 2 hours, woke up, went back into work. I'm like, okay, yeah, this wouldn't happen if we fucking played. We would literally be driving to work from the event. Yeah. So I'm like, this is fucking nuts. And
well, I'll put it this way, just to kind of plug what's happening or plug my idea here. Then, if you do plan on going up to Carolina and you do want to play D3, let me know. I'll come up for a couple practices beforehand and jump on with y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. They just put a feeler post out looking for teams, see how big they can get the event.
Yeah, just let me know, obviously, a little bit ahead of time so I can plan it.
Absolutely.
So.
But all right, gentlemen. I think that was, like I said, we never know what we're gonna get into with Reese. Like I texted Reese, and I'm like, hey, college people. We're like, yeah, sure, maybe. So we touched on it again. I don't know. Every time we talk about just a lot of shit, and it's a lot of people shit, so it works out well.
Sure. We run the gambit. And in fact, next on View from the Dead Box, we're going to be talking about sniper rifles and how to get your MOA on point at distance. So
your MOA inside your holdovers is actually not yardage. Even though it does work like a fucking charm up to 600 yards. It is nuts.
And that's what you learn when someone who actually taught sniper school can teach people that did not go to sniper school.
Oh, there's a 4 and a scope. Hold on. Air 40 yards. Boom. Dead middle.
So wow. On the next episode of your View from the Dead Box, your view is a reticle looking at targets downrange.
That's awesome. Yeah. But all right, you good, Wes?
I am good.
Anything else you wanted to say, Reese?
No, thanks again for having me, guys. It was good to actually have a little bit of alcohol before this time. Maybe next time I'll double dose the alcohol. We'll keep those a step every time.
Yeah,
we'll just step each one.
I'm in for it. I like it. But all right.
Hopefully there won't be a second place on that one though.
I hope not. Y'all gotta win. Like if y'all play another VM D3 5-man, y'all gotta take it serious. At least win the World Cup part.
I mean, if Wes wants to go up to D2, he'll play D3 5.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's gonna
be. That's fucking awesome. All right, well, thanks everyone for listening. Be sure to check out all the socials. Those videos if you want to see Reese drinking. It was quite funny for me. You can see all our fucking faces. But thanks for listening. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace out, guys.
Later, guys.